Stop scrolling right now. What if I told you that a simple quarter sitting in your pocket could secretly be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars? Yes, I'm talking about hidden treasure hiding in plain sight. And today, on Rare Coins Galaxy USA, we're revealing the top 6 most valuable rare quarters that collectors and investors are literally hunting around the world. From quarters with gray or goldish antique tones, to rare mint marks that only appear once in a lifetime. Each of these quarters has a story, a secret to fortune waiting for the lucky discoverer. Some of these coins are truly a life-changing opportunity. So stay tuned, because by the end of this video you will know exactly which quarters are worth hundreds of thousands of dollars today. Collectors around the world are paying big money for them. So mysterious, so unbelievably powerful, so dangerously valuable, that people have unknowingly spent them in groceries and vending machines, completely unaware that they were holding enough hidden wealth to shake the world. Now let's move to one of the most misunderstood, yet historically powerful coins ever created, the 1965 United States quarter dollar with no mint mark. At first glance, it looks like any ordinary quarter you might find lying in a drawer, forgotten inside a wallet, or mixed in everyday change. But the truth is far more dramatic. This coin was born during one of the most chaotic and transformational periods in American minting history, the year when silver vanished from circulating coins forever. The 1965 quarter marks the beginning of the modern clad era, but it also holds secrets that collectors around the world are still hunting today. Even without a mint mark, this coin carries a silent mystery. Was it struck using leftover silver planchets? Was it created during the transition when the mint was experimenting with new metal layers? Or could it be one of those extremely rare errors that slipped through unnoticed? Errors that today can turn a simple quarter into a life-changing treasure? Collectors search for very specific clues on the 1965 quarter. An unusual shine, a different tone, a lighter weight, a stronger strike, a doubled letter on Liberty, a slightly shifted profile, or even a misaligned reverse. Each tiny detail can push this coin's value from just 25 cents to thousands of dollars in the right auction. The U.S. Mint produced millions of these quarters, but only a handful may carry those rare transitional traits or hidden minting anomalies that the world still whispers about. Even today, people unknowingly spend this coin in vending machines, grocery stores, or gas stations, completely unaware that they might be holding a rare transition-era piece worth more than a collector's monthly salary. So before you overlook a simple no-mint mark 1965 quarter, remember this: not all treasures shine immediately. Some wait silently, hiding in plain sight, until the right eyes uncover their true power. Even without a mint mark, this coin carries a silent mystery. Was it struck using leftover silver planchets? Was it created during the transition when the mint was experimenting with new metal layers? Or could it be one of those extremely rare errors that slipped through unnoticed? Errors that today can turn a simple quarter into a life-changing treasure? Collectors search for very specific clues on the 1965 quarter. An unusual shine, a different tone, a lighter weight, a stronger strike, a doubled letter on Liberty, a slightly shifted profile, or even a misaligned reverse. Each tiny detail can push this coin's value from just 25 cents to thousands of dollars in the right auction. The U.S. Mint produced millions of these quarters, but only a handful may carry those rare transitional traits or hidden minting anomalies that the world still whispers about. Even today, people unknowingly spend this coin in vending machines, grocery stores, or gas stations, completely unaware that they might be holding a rare transition-era piece worth more than a collector's monthly salary. So before you overlook a simple no-mint mark 1965 quarter, remember this: not all treasures shine immediately. Some wait silently, hiding in plain sight, until the right eyes uncover their true power. Even decades later, the 1965 quarter continues to captivate collectors across the globe. Numismatists from Europe, Asia, and beyond scrutinize these coins with magnifying glasses and specialized scales, searching for any hint of rarity or error that might distinguish a mundane quarter from a once-in-a-lifetime find. What makes this coin so compelling internationally is not just its historical context, but its role as a bridge between the silver era and the modern clad coins, a tangible piece of American monetary evolution that echoes worldwide. Auctions in London, Tokyo, and Dubai have seen collectors willing to pay extraordinary sums for a quarter that appears ordinary to the untrained eye. A subtle doubling on the letters, a faint misalignment of the eagle on the reverse, or a slightly off-center strike can instantly transform this small piece of copper nickel into a globally sought-after treasure. Every detail matters. Every nuance tells a story of a mint grappling with change, innovation, and the pressures of a nation moving away from silver. For the international collector, the 1965 no-mint mark quarter is more than currency. It is a symbol of transition, scarcity, and hidden value. The thrill comes from knowing that amidst millions produced, only a select few carry secrets waiting to be unveiled, secrets that could elevate a modest coin into a centerpiece of any serious collection. Across continents, whispers circulate in collector forums and private circles. The quarter may seem ordinary, but in the right hands, it holds power, history, and a legacy that transcends borders. The coin you are looking at is the 2003 Alabama State Quarter, a remarkable piece from the United States 50 State Quarters series, created to honor the history and great personalities of each state. The woman sitting on the rocking chair in the design is Helen Keller, one of the most inspirational figures in American history, a woman who was both blind and deaf yet became an author, educator, lecturer, and a global symbol of courage. She is shown seated calmly on a traditional rocking chair, representing her strength, dignity, and peaceful personality, and above her name the coin even includes Braille script, making this the first U.S. coin ever to feature Braille. This coin was made to honor her incredible life and to represent the spirit of Alabama, because Helen Keller was born in this state and became one of its most respected icons. The coin was officially issued in 2003 and carries the words "Spirit of Courage," reminding the world of her determination. In the collector market, this quarter is worth more than its face value. In circulated condition, it sells for around $1 to $3. In uncirculated or mint condition, it can reach $4 to $8, and special proof or silver versions can go from $10 to $40 or more depending on quality. Anyone who has this coin in their pocket, in a drawer, or lying somewhere in a tray should know that they are holding a valuable and historical piece that can make them richer in the future, because rare state quarters continue to rise in demand. If you have this coin, you are lucky. Comment on the channel quickly and share that you own it, because this little piece of metal carries history, inspiration, and the power to bring real dollars to the collector who keeps it safe. The value of this 2003 Alabama State Quarter starts from its basic collector grade, where a circulated piece often sells for around $1 to $3 depending on condition, while uncirculated coins preserved in higher grade can easily reach $4 to $8, and special proof or silver versions take the value higher into the $10 to $40 range or more when kept in pristine form. In the dollars market, this coin continues to attract collectors because state quarters remain one of the most widely collected American series, and many collectors still search for missing states to complete their albums, meaning a clean Alabama quarter, especially one carrying Helen Keller in sharp detail, becomes increasingly desirable with time. The information about this coin begins with its place in American numismatic history, where it was released in 2003 as part of the State Quarters program, a program that reshaped modern coin collecting by giving each state a unique design, and Alabama chose to honor one of its greatest personalities, Helen Keller, the legendary woman who overcame the darkness and silence of blindness and deafness to become an author, educator, speaker, and global icon of courage. The details of the coin show her sitting on a classic rocking chair, with her name written not only in English but also in Braille, making it the first U.S. coin ever to feature Braille, and this design symbolizes dignity, calmness, and the enduring strength of a woman who proved that physical limitations cannot imprison the mind. Now, continuing the story further in the same style and tone as before, we dive deeper into the long and powerful journey of this coin, imagining it not just as a small piece of metal, but as a silent storyteller that traveled from the mint presses of 2003 into the hands of millions of Americans, each glance reminding them of courage, struggle, and victory. And when you look at this quarter closely, you begin to see more than a picture. You see a lifetime of bravery. You see the struggle of a woman who lived in a world without sound and sight, yet spoke to millions with her words. And this coin carries that same spirit, whispering to collectors that sometimes the greatest treasures are those that celebrate human strength. As years pass, the value of such quarters rises not only because of physical rarity, but because of emotional significance, and collectors all over the world want to own coins that mean something, coins with a story, coins with a soul, and this Alabama quarter is one of those unique coins that touches the heart before touching the pocket. In the larger collector market, these state quarters have remained among the most successful U.S. mint programs, and millions of collectors continue to search for mint state coins, error coins, and proof editions to complete their collections, which means the person holding a preserved Alabama quarter today holds not just a coin, but a small piece of a massive cultural phenomenon. And as we move deeper into the long narrative of this video, imagine holding this coin in your hand, feeling its edges, watching the light catch the raised design of Helen Keller's profile, the rocking chair, the branches, the lettering, and realizing that this is not just money. This is memory, this is history, this is the legacy of one of the most extraordinary women who ever lived. When this coin was first released, collectors lined up at banks, families exchanged rolls of quarters, children searched their pocket change, people traded duplicates with friends, and with every discovery came excitement because each state quarter represented pride, story, and identity. The Alabama quarter especially became a symbol of courage because rarely does a nation place a blind and deaf woman on its currency. This act alone speaks to the spirit of America, honoring not just warriors, presidents, or monuments, but the quiet strength of a woman who fought battles inside the silence of her mind and emerged victorious. This coin is more than 20 years old now, and with each passing year its desirability grows, especially as many early state quarters disappear from circulation, worn out, lost, or stored away in private collections, making higher grades scarcer. The long-term potential of the Alabama state quarter remains strong because numismatists predict that full sets of state quarters in brilliant condition will always hold a special place in the hobby, and those holding such coins today may see significant returns in the future, especially for silver-proof editions, mint sets, and coins preserved in slabs with high grades by PCGS or NGC. As we continue this extended exploration, imagine the journey of one single quarter. Minted in 2003, shipped to banks, exchanged between families, passing through hands, placed in jars, forgotten in drawers, and someday discovered by someone who recognizes its value, its meaning, and its potential to rise in both financial and sentimental worth. This is how collectors are born. This is how history survives, and this is how a simple Alabama quarter becomes a treasure for someone who respects the story behind it. And now as the narrative deepens, think about Helen Keller herself, a child who could neither hear nor see, living in a silent, dark world until her teacher and Sullivan unlocked communication with a single sensation, water flowing over her hand, leading her into a life of learning, writing, speaking, and inspiring the entire world. This coin freezes that legacy into metal, giving future generations a chance to honor her journey every time they look at this design. And so this coin becomes more than currency. It becomes a message, a beacon of hope, a reminder that courage is not measured by what you can see or hear, but by what you overcome, and this is why collectors everywhere value the Alabama quarter. Now let's dive into the story of a coin that millions of people in America used every single day, tossed into vending machines, slipped into pockets, traveled across states, passed through hands without a second thought, and yet today collectors across the world search for it with a different kind of excitement, because every coin carries a journey, a history, and a hidden value waiting to be discovered. And this is the 1977 United States Washington quarter with no mint mark, a coin minted in Philadelphia, a coin that represents a time when America was moving through political change, cultural shifts, and a growing economy. And this small circular piece of metal silently witnessed that era while circulating freely among the people. When you pick up a 1977 no-mint mark quarter today, you're holding a piece of that timeline, a survivor of nearly 5 decades of circulation, and even though more than 468 million pieces were minted, the moment you find one in fine condition, meaning a coin that has circulated but still shows clear details of George Washington's portrait, visible lines, readable date, clean rim, and an overall honest where that tells its own story, that coin becomes more than change, it becomes a collectible. Collectors always look at 3 things first: mint mark, condition, and rarity, and in this case the no-mint mark 1977 quarter means it was born in the Philadelphia Mint, a factory of coins that was producing millions, but still giving each coin its own identity. A fine-grade 1977 quarter shows life, it shows travel, and yet it keeps dignity in its design. The obverse still carries Washington's profile with enough detail to show the hair, the forehead lines, the shape of the jaw, while the reverse still shows the proud heraldic eagle with wings spread wide, arrows in its talons, a symbol of American strength cast into metal. When you look closely, You can imagine how many people held it, how many pockets it visited, how many stories it silently experienced. And that is what makes even a common date coin feel special when you're a collector. But the real question everyone wants to know is, what is the value today? And the truth is that market value is never fixed. It breathes, it rises, it changes with collectors' demand, grading services, auction trends, and the number of available high-grade examples. For a normal circulated coin in fine condition, the value is modest, usually slightly above face value, but collectors pay somewhere between $3 to $10 depending on the wear, eye appeal, strike sharpness, and how clean the surfaces are. A fine condition example is not rare, but it is desirable for people who are building year sets, type sets, mint-run albums, or teaching material. However, once you move above fine into extremely fine, about uncirculated and mint state conditions, the value grows noticeably. Uncirculated 1977 quarters can go for $15 to $30, depending on grade, luster, and preservation. When grading companies like PCGS or NGC certify a coin in high mint state grades such as MS66 or MS67, the value jumps into the hundreds, and in MS68 territory the prices can explode because such coins are extremely hard to find due to the striking quality of the era. This is why collectors always check the rims, fields, and details carefully. Another layer to this story is errors, off-center strikes, double dies, clipped planchets, broad strikes, because a 1977 quarter with an error can dramatically increase in value, sometimes selling for hundreds of dollars depending on how dramatic the error is. So whenever someone finds a 1977 quarter, especially with no mint mark, they examine it under good lighting, looking for anything unusual, because even a small difference can elevate an ordinary coin into a highly desirable collectible. But beyond numbers, prices, auctions, and markets, the true charm of the 1977 no-mint mark quarter lies in its simplicity and heritage. It is a coin from an era before digital payments, before credit card dominance, before mobile wallets, a time when the clinking sound of coins was part of everyday American life. Holding a 1977 quarter is like holding a memory of that era. Many collectors today search through jars, drawers, flea markets, garage sales, and old boxes just hoping to find a clean example. And every time someone discovers a fine condition piece, they add it to their collection because they know that the value of a coin is not only measured in dollars, but also in the story it carries, the generations it has traveled through, and the history it preserves. So if you have a 1977 quarter without a mint mark and it is in fine condition, appreciate it for what it is. A survivor of nearly 5 decades, a witness of time, a piece of American currency that still holds value and respect in the collector's world. Today's market typically places it somewhere between $3 and $10 in fine condition, more if details are sharper, much more if the coin is uncirculated or carries an error, and extraordinary amounts if it reaches high mint state grades certified by professional grading companies. And as the market continues to evolve, collectors continue to grow, and coin hunters keep searching, the charm and curiosity around the 1977 quarter remain alive, making it not just a coin but a small chapter of history that lives in your hand, telling its story quietly but powerfully as long as people continue to treasure these pieces of the past. Today we're examining a coin many might pass by without noticing, a modest quarter from 1987 minted at Denver, the 1987 D. Washington quarter, and though at first glance it seems common, it holds layers of interest for collectors, numismatists, and anyone who enjoys discovering value in everyday objects. This coin was struck at the United States Mint Denver facility in 1987, with a large mintage of 655,594,696 pieces. It uses the familiar copper-nickel clad composition, 75% copper with 25% nickel over a pure copper core, weighing approximately 5.67 grams and measuring 24.3 millimeters in diameter. The obverse features the bust of George Washington, with the mint mark D just to the right of his hair ribbon, indicating Denver. The reverse shows the heraldic eagle with outstretched wings, arrows and talons, and the legend $quarter in the lower field. Because so many were made, this coin is far from rare in average circulated condition, which means that for the vast bulk of these coins the value remains essentially at or just above face value. For a typical circulated 1987 D quarter, you might expect only 25 cents or perhaps a very modest premium into a few dollars. One source states that at grades like MS65 and 1987, D quarter is worth around US $7. Another site gives a breakdown where mint states 67 examples can hit hundreds of dollars, though those are extremely rare. What this tells us is, condition is everything. A coin that shows heavy wear, flattened details, weak rims, scratched surfaces, is worth very little beyond face, whereas one with light usage, crisp details, original luster, and perhaps attractive toning moves into the collectible zone. Let's walk through how to evaluate your 1987 D quarter to see where it might fit and whether it has shock value, meaning a value well above the norm. First, check the mint mark. The D ensures it is a Denver strike and not the Philadelphia or proof San Francisco version. The mint mark placement and the date must be fully visible. Next, inspect condition. Look at Washington's bust. Is the hairline clear? Are the cheek and jaw details visible? The ribbon lines, are they worn flat? On the reverse, is the eagle's plumage well defined? Are the wreath leaves clear? Is United States of America sharp? Does the rim show nicks or denting? For fine condition, designated F12, F15 in numismatic grading. You'll see we're on the high points but major elements still readable and present. At very fine VF, you get more detail. At extremely fine EF, more again. About uncirculated AU, barely anywhere. Mint state, MS60 plus, nowhere. For the 1987 D quarter, circulated coins, below AU, tend to have little value beyond face. One reliable guide lists MS64 at roughly $5 and MS67 at maybe $280 in more premium listings. If you manage to find an error piece, say off-center strike, broad strike, doubled die, filled die mint mark, or some other anomaly, the value can shoot upwards because you move into a specialist market. For example, an off-center 1987 D quarter, about 25% off, certified MS65 sold for about $45. So the shock value comes specifically from condition and rarity of error, not from the standard coin. Now, in today's market, you'll want to be realistic. Most collectors building sets will buy a 1987 D quarter in average condition for just a few dollars. They are often used to fill date sets. If you have one that looks almost uncirculated, maybe MS63, MS65 with full mint luster and nice eye appeal, then you might expect something like $5 to $20 depending on grade and demand. If you have one certified by a professional grading service, such as Professional Coin Grading Service or Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, at MS66 or MS67 with exceptional strike and no detracting marks, that's where premiums start, up into the hundreds of dollars. Keep in mind though that those are very scarce for this date. One valuation chart shows MS67 for this issue at about $676 for the 1987 D example. So if you happen to find one in that condition, yes, you might have a shocker. But for most the coin is common. Another factor that impacts value is market demand and eye appeal. If a coin has beautiful original toning, strong strike, and minimal contact marks, even a grade lower than a certified MS67 might fetch more than a bland example. Conversely, coins with cleaning damage, heavy bag marks, rim dings, or unattractive surfaces can sell for less than the generic value for that grade. Thus, when you evaluate your coin, ask, does it have original surfaces? No heavy cleaning? No unnatural luster? Is the strike clean? Does it have good rim, good edge, no major contact marks? In summary, if you find a 1987 D Washington quarter in typical circulated condition, expect only face value or $1 or $2 premium. If you find one nearly uncirculated, you could be looking at maybe $5 to $20. If you find one certified MS66, MS67, or with a significant error, you could be in for hundreds of dollars. So yes, the coin can have surprising value, but only under strong condition or rare variety. Otherwise, it remains an ordinary piece of pocket change from 1987. And when you look at the 1987 D quarter dollar closely, really closely, you begin to realize that a coin is not just metal, not just weight, not just numbers punched in a machine, but a witness to thousands of days of circulation, to hands that held it, to pockets that forgot it, to drawers that saved it, to years that touched it silently without asking anything in return. The 1987 D quarter surfaced during a time when America was shifting into the modern age of technology, when the country was moving from analog screens to early digital life, when music was changing, fashion was changing, cars were changing, but coins, these small durable monuments of everyday life, continued to exist unchanged in their mission, continuing to move from person to person, carrying the silent signature of the year they were born in. And that is why collectors still respect even a common year like 1987, because every coin tells a story no machine can narrate. The Denver Mint, with its constant humming, its immense production lines, its precision and pressure, struck over 655 million 1987 D quarters, but even in that sea of metal, no two coins age the same way, no two coins experience the same world, no two coins develop the same or pattern, and that is what gives each piece its identity. When a collector holds a 1987 D quarter today, he is not just holding a piece of currency, he is holding a fragment of 1987 itself, a memory sealed in metal. But the question that fascinates the new collectors and shocks many people who never paid attention to coins is how some coins from a completely ordinary year can suddenly become expensive, shocking in price. And the answer is hidden where most people never look, in the tiny details of condition, in the sharpness of strike, in the untouched luster that manages to survive decades, in the microscopic imperfections or rare mint errors that escape the strict eyes of mint inspectors. Most 1987 D quarters live their whole life doing their duty, buying snacks, paying for parking, dropping into laundry machines, disappearing inside pockets, and by the time a collector sees them, they are worn, scratched, handled thousands of times. But there are a very small few, that somehow escaped circulation, hidden in a bank roll, sealed in a forgotten box, preserved in a drawer, and these coins maintain their mint-fresh brightness, their untouched shine, their original sparkle. Those are the coins that shock the market. Imagine a coin that was supposed to be worth only 25 cents suddenly becoming worth hundreds of dollars simply because it remained perfect. That is the magic of mint state, and even more magical when a coin reaches MS67, a level of perfection so rare for this year, so hard to find that collectors are willing to pay hundreds, sometimes even more, just to secure a single flawless piece. And then there are error coins, the unexpected, the accidental masterpieces. A 1987 D quarter struck slightly off-center, or with doubling on the date or lettering, or with a clipped planchet, or a broad strike without the raised rim, becomes a treasure for error specialists. Errors are nature's way of making an ordinary coin extraordinary, and when a collector finds one, it becomes a moment of excitement that cannot be explained, only felt. And the market today, with online auctions, coin shows, collectors groups, grading services, dealers around the world, has created a new kind of thrill. Every day someone examines a pocketful of coins and wonders, is there something special here? And sometimes there is. A sharp-eyed collector sees something others ignore, a faint detail, an unusual strike, a luster pattern that seems too perfect for its age, and suddenly the ordinary becomes valuable. That is why people still search 1987 D quarters today, because somewhere hidden among millions lies one coin that can change the story, one coin that creates shock value, one coin that makes the collector's heart race. And beyond the market, beyond the dollars, beyond the prices, there is something far more emotional, the connection between the past and the present. Holding a 1987 D quarter today connects you to the people of that year. It connects you to a world without smartphones, without digital payments, without the internet as we know it. This coin lived in a time when people still carried change to buy soda, when vending machines were everywhere, when arcade games ran on quarters, when kids collected coins not for investment but for fun. When you hold a 1987 D quarter, you hold a piece of that life, a piece of that energy. And collectors understand this. That is why they protect coins, study coins, hunt coins. Because every coin carries a universe inside it, a universe of history, value, memory, rarity, mystery, and potential. The 1987 D quarter may not be a rare key date, but it is a part of a lineage, a chapter of American currency that will live forever. Its value today in the market depends on condition, demand, grading, errors, and the passion of collectors. A normal circulated piece might be worth only face value or a few dollars, but a near-perfect coin can rise to tens or even hundreds. The shock value lies not in the ordinary, but in the extraordinary condition or rare error that transforms a simple quarter into a collector's prize. And as long as collectors keep searching, as long as coin enthusiasts keep dreaming, coins like the 1987 D quarter will never lose their magic. They will continue to surprise, continue to fascinate, continue to spark curiosity and wonder, reminding us that sometimes the smallest things, even a single quarter, can carry the biggest stories.